Yeah, see, this is like if I cooked a really good pizza and we ate most of it, and then you showed up and we had one slice left, and I was like, dude, you got to try this pizza. And you're like, this is like, is there more of this? This is phenomenal. I'm like, no, that's the last of it. And you'll be like,
No,
well,
it would be like,
actually, it sucked. I hate it now.
False. It would be like if you let me nibble it and then you just ripped it out of my mouth and was like, yeah, it was good, wasn't it, you piece of shit? And then you slap me with the fucking pizza and then like, can't wait till you come to the next movie. Thanks for the money, asshole. And you made me pay for it too.
You just light the pizza on fire in front of him.
Yeah, that's what that would have been.
Douse it in gasoline. Welcome in everybody to HTGS Reviews, where we are finally, the first time in a while, reviewing a horror movie that wasn't written, produced, directed, starred a rapper at all. To my knowledge, maybe, who knows, probably somehow. I'm sure if they were, you will let us know in the comments. But I am your host, Rob Coakley, joined, as always, by Dave Wilkins.
I might have to go double check now to see if Peter Stormare actually has a hip hop album from the 90s that we don't know about.
He might. And also joining us is Jesse Wilkins.
Hello, folks.
And we are all not rappers, but we will wrap up the discussion on that. And we will jump straight into a synopsis from Dave on the movie Until Dawn.
Until Dawn, 2025, directed by David F. Sandberg. 1 year after her sister vanished, Clover and her friends venture into a remote valley searching for answers. With acting performances so wooden it felt like an actual set itself was auditioning, they stumble upon an abandoned visitor center and a masked killer. As the group is murdered one by one and lines are delivered with all the emotion of a GPS navigation device, they mysteriously wake up at the start of the same night, trapped in a time loop that forces them to relive the terror and forces us to relive the line delivery over and over again.
And just a heads up, this is a brand new movie. We will be spoiling it. It came out this year, so just be prepared for that.
Yeah, and if you weren't prepared for that, Dave just spoiled it in the synopsis.
So this synopsis is the actual synopsis with a couple of additions that I added that weren't spoilers. It's just me pointing out that it was some pretty bad acting at times.
Great line about the set, though. That was funny.
Thank you. Yeah, so this was one of my negatives about this movie is there was some pretty wooden acting in it. Not across the board. There was some good acting too, and there were some pretty scary parts of this movie. I enjoyed this movie. I actually had a pretty good time with it. I thought it was fun. It's tough when you see these video games get adapted into movies because 95% of the time they're not good. I thought they did a pretty good job with this. Now, they didn't follow the plot of the video game so much, but they stuck a few things in there. And I liked like the repetition thing that they had going felt very much like a video game. And I thought that was pretty nicely incorporated. There are going to be some pros, there are going to be some cons here, but for the most part, I had a fun time with this movie. It'll get a decent score from me.
Rob wouldn't know because he's never died in a video game.
That's true. Not once, especially this one. We did a full playthrough of the game Until Dawn on this review channel. So if you have not played the game, you can watch me play the game and play it perfectly is what I would say.
Definitely.
Let me get into my thoughts on this movie. My overall thoughts are, I'm going to start with what you said about the video game, Dave, where it's just, this is one of my biggest negatives with the video game movie genre. The directors come in and they take the source material and they just pick it apart. Like they just absolutely shred it and make it to a point that it's just slightly resembles what it's based off of. I'm not looking for shot remakes of video games. That would just be, easy and kind of boring. But I'm not looking for you to change the entire premise either. I don't think that's too much to ask for when we're doing this stuff with the video game reviews or the video game movies.
Yeah, that's also not what this was, though. Like, this was supposed to be a prequel. from what I
Right.
gathered. This is just my take. I don't know. Like when I was watching it, I was like, okay, this isn't the story from the video game. They're not doing a shot for shot remake, which probably would have been fine. But overall, it looked like they were trying to set up a franchise.
Yeah, no, and we were going to get to that point too, because they clearly were doing that, right? Like you see that at the very end shot of this movie that they're setting up the prequel for this. My positives, it hits two of my favorite types of overall movies, not even just horror movies. I love the Groundhog Day movies that people do. Like they're some of my favorite types of movies. The Groundhog Day was great. Andy Samberg had a comedy one a couple years back. I forget what it's called. It's like Palm Springs or something like that, but it's actually really good. And I enjoyed that thoroughly. So like I love these movies where you wake up in the same day and you sort of have to figure the day out, and it's like a riddle to solve. So I love that. And another thing that they did was sort of like this cabin in the woods thing, where it's just you're possibly dealing with a different monster constantly. And I love that idea. I love this.
that.
And there's something else that is coming to get you. So I actually wish they did that a little more.
On this, there was also when they wake up every day, there's like a different weird building outside until the
Right.
with almost this like whole decayed village outside. And I thought that was really cool too. And I thought the deaths were a lot of fun in this. Like
Yes.
the kills. I thought they were great, especially, and you could probably guess where I'm going with this one.
Yeah.
My favorite one with the explosions from the water. That one completely took me off guard, and I was like, "Holy shit!" And it was
Reminded me a lot of The Boys. People are always blown up in The Boys. I don't think you watched The Boys, Dave, but it's that explosion was very reminiscent of some of those deaths.
Do you think that it was so awesome that they might have used it too much though? Like
maybe no, I don't think so, because they had to kill them all off with that one, and
yeah, but then it comes back.
yeah, briefly, yeah, it does come back.
So
I don't know. It didn't get old for me. I loved it every time.
Fair. I thought that was good too. But yeah, so I have a lot of like I was so back and forth on this because of everything that we've said so far, where some of the acting performances were just meh, but it hit genres that I really liked, and I liked the way they implemented them. I thought it was shot great. They did some like wide shots in this movie that I was like, that's a really cool shot that I feel like not a lot of directors would have done in this specific scene. So there's some really cool shit in this movie, is what I will say.
I liked when they first stumbled on this place, right? And they're driving in the rain, and it's a chaotic scene because they really did a good job shooting that with the windshield wipers, and you can't really see out because the rain's pouring so hard. Then all of a sudden it's just not raining anymore.
Yeah.
And they realized that they'd driven into this weird circle where there's no rain. And you can like walk into the wall of rain, and minus some really bad dialogue. It was a really cool scene.
Yeah. And there was that one actress that she, depending on which side she was turning to, she would either look 20 or 60.
So the girl who played Nina.
Interesting
Yeah.
observation.
Exactly. I was like, man, she could play any age she wanted to play. and I would just be sitting there trying to guess her age the entire movie.
She actually couldn't play any age, only 20 and 60. Nothing in between.
Nothing in between. But yeah, so there's so much for this. Do you have any more for an overview before we really dive into it, Jesse?
The first half of the movie was awesome, and it really kept me interested. And then the second half of the movie just spiraled and was goofy. That's my overall thought on it. I thought it had some good to it. I thought it was interesting. I was actually having a lot of fun watching the movie, and the story was cool. The fact that they had Peter's, what is it, Stormare, the guy who played Dr. Hill. The fact, he's in the video game, that he was obviously also in the movie. That was cool. That would have been a huge negative if they didn't get him to do the actual movie.
It also would have been shocking if they didn't get him. They're like,
right.
He'll do anything. Why can't you get him?
Yeah, he does Call of Duty. He'll do the movie. So he's obviously a big video game guy, but he's also, I love him in every single movie that he's in. Like, I can't think of one time that I saw him that I was like, that wasn't a great performance. No, he's
one
awesome.
of the best renditions of the devil.
Yeah, it was a Constantine, right?
Yeah,
with the white suit.
Yep. That was
Have I mean, not the sidebar about a different movie. Did you ever read the background on why he wore the white suit?
I did, but I don't remember it. So
They basically wanted him to wear like some normal like a black suit or like a black, I think it was a black biker suit, if I
that's,
remember correctly. And he was like, why don't I just wear a white suit? And it looked awesome.
well, it's great. I mean, the Lucifer in the biblical version of him, he's like a fallen angel, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. So I love him too. I think I always enjoy when he pops up in something. He's a, oh, there's that guy.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
know,
I don't
like
know his name, but he's typecast.
yeah. And he's great. I enjoy him.
Yeah.
So I was very glad that if you were to get anyone, because they had some big names in the video game, like Remy Malek was in that one, Hayden Panettiere was in that. But like if you told me one person had to come from that from that video game to the movie, I would have been like, this character is the one that
Yeah,
needs to
has
come
to
over. Yeah.
Has to be. And it's fine that they didn't get any of those actors because this is supposed to be a prequel. Although it probably would have been higher score because some of those are good actors and some of these were not good actors, which was unfortunate. There were a few good, so I don't want to completely dog on this movie like it's all bad acting. Ji Young Yu, the girl who played Megan, I thought did a really good job. I thought she was particularly good, and I think that's it.
I also think so. There's a thing with horror movies. We always talk about how like you don't get time to set up your character sometimes, and you just sort of jump into it, which is sometimes a positive. It can sometimes be a negative too. I'm not saying it's a negative for this movie because it does jump right into it. Like as soon as you're there, you're just like in this movie immediately. There's very little downtime between the opening scene and when shit really pops off. So you don't really get a ton of character development, and that might be some of it for here. I don't know if I'd want any more character development, to be honest. I think we got
I think with this one, you got your character development after they all died the first time. Once they started coming back. And that was almost a really big negative for me. When they started just bang, 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 killing off the characters, I'm like, it's too fast. Like, are you going to introduce like a whole new cast of characters now? Like, what are we doing? And then I caught on real quick. I'm like, okay, now I get it. I think it was like on the third or fourth kill. I was like, oh, they're going to loop. This is they're coming back.
Yeah.
This movie, and it's such a relief to finally, because after the last 3 or 4 movies were so poorly paced, I thought this movie was really, really nicely paced. It was an hour 43 runtime, which is a little longer than I typically prefer for a horror movie. But when it was over, I was sad it was over. I wanted it. And to the point where I'm like fast forwarding to the end of the credits. I'm like, give me a post credits, post credit scene or something. But yeah.
Yeah, but I think that when they're paced like at a breakneck pace like this, sometimes you might lose some character development in the beginning. And like you said, you do get some of that as the kills are happening. You sort of learn what each character is about, but you also never get a chance to root for really any character other than maybe Clover, who we kind of got her deal a little bit because she is the main character in the movie, and you understand what's going on with her. They're looking for her sister. So maybe there, but it does really have Scream 5 energy for me, where the main character performance is just maybe too wooden, and you have trouble just getting there for that character is the way I'll phrase it.
Yeah, I agree with that. And just a lot of some of like the acting where they're acting scared and running, and they did a pretty good job showing fear and terror. I thought it was really just the character to character dialogue, which could have been partially the writing, but it was, I thought that was particularly bad. A couple of times they were trying to be funny and it just wasn't funny. It was flat. And but I think like, so it's more of like a minor critique about the acting, because like when you really want the acting to count, I thought it was at least good enough.
Yeah. I think one of my negatives is I wish that we saw more I wish we saw more nights. Like that's what it left me wanting. And maybe more would have made it too much.
Let me give a take on
this.
this.
Is a huge problem. Oh, but I wonder if we're gonna have the same take here, but go ahead.
I thought that it was a good amount of night. And what I really liked that they did was when they were like, we don't remember what's going on. Like, how the heck are we already on night 13? And then they realized that they had taken the video on the phone, and then it almost turns into a found footage movie for like 5 minutes, and all of those scenes were so good. They're great. Loved
this
it.
was a huge problem. The big problem was, number one, there's no explanation why, and this is a movie that would not stop explaining itself. So this is a movie that was a nonstop dump of information from start to finish. It was like, okay, we get it. Like everyone at every point in this movie is explaining what's going on. It's like, dude, the audience isn't that dumb. Like, we understand what's going on here. But this was one of my issues. But one of my biggest issues with this whole like found footage thing was these were like the best kills in the most horrifying moments in the movie, and they just teased it. It was like a trailer. Like, dude, where were those scenes? Do those scenes instead. They all looked fucking awesome and horrifying.
I loved that segment.
Fuck that. They were so much better than the ones that we got.
I think it was so good because of the found footage format that they did. I think that's why.
I appreciate the found footage thing, but my issue is that the kills and the monsters and the horrifying shit that was happening on their found footage was way better than the actual shit, which, by the way, the kills in this movie were good. Like, I enjoyed like the chaos and the things that were happening. But when I saw the found footage stuff, I was like, fuck, give me that. Where's that in the movie? Like, they should have completely flip-flopped all of it.
I'm going to push back here. And I think that the reason those found footage scenes that it was so brief and it was so shocking and terrifying, I think the reason it was so shocking and terrifying is exactly the way they did it. And I think if you flip-flopped it, it would have had a too much monster, or because some of the scenes were so good in that.
Yeah, I know. That was my problem, is I felt like I was getting cheated. I was like, dude, you should have done those instead.
But some of the deaths in those were so quick is the other thing. So like those nights, some of those nights, they just got demolished. Mm-hmm. They just got wrecked by whatever that monster, like the one that came down the hallway, wipes them all out immediately. You can't get more of that. And I thought to push back on it a little bit, I thought the witch scene was actually terrifying. Mm-hmm. And that's what I really like about this is we start with the slasher killer, and then you go to this more paranormal, psychological witch thing. Like you're able to flip genres within the movie based on whatever you're up against. So I liked all of that. I guess it did its thing, because I guess it left me wanting more of that stuff.
Yeah, I think that's the point. And I think like to look at a scene that where you're like, that was perfect, that was awesome, that's probably my favorite part of the movie, and then to say, but I wish you did more of it, kind of makes me think like, well, maybe not though. Maybe if they did more of it, would be like, it was too much. And I think that like if you have a perfect scene, you keep the perfect scene perfect. And I think that was a perfect scene. It was my favorite part of the movie.
It was. I'm at a weird place here because it was awesome because it looked awesome, but I felt cheated. So it was my least favorite part of the movie because you should have gave me that. You just teased me with a better movie than what you actually put out there, So it's like, I don't know. I feel like you could have cut out some of those like quick hit deaths, like Rob was talking about, and replace those with some of those more tense, scary kind of body horror things that they previewed in those ones.
But Jesse, this is like if I had cooked a really good pizza and we ate most of it, and then you showed up and we had one slice left, and I was like, dude, you got to try this pizza. And you're like, this is like, is there more of this? This is phenomenal. I'm like, no, that's the last of it. And you'll be like,
no,
well,
it would be like,
actually, it sucked. I hate it now.
False. It would be like if you let me nibble it, and then you just ripped it out of my mouth and was like, yeah, it was good, wasn't it, you piece of shit? And then you slapped me with the fucking pizza, and then like, can't wait till you come to the next movie. Thanks for the money, asshole. And you made me pay for it too.
You just light the pizza on fire in front of them.
Yeah, that's what that would have been.
Douse it in gasoline. Hope you enjoyed it. You're never having it again.
Back to the rain circle. I love the scene where they like get in the car and they try and drive away, and they back into the rain thing, and then there's that big whatever monster that's just lurking in the rain. So they had to back it back up. That was a scary monster.
To go back to the pizza, it would have been more like if you had a pizza with a bunch of awesome toppings on it, and you're like, oh, don't these look delicious? And then just when I go to a bite, you just knock them off the slice of pizza and just made me eat just the bread with the sauce on it.
I'm sorry.
Or you're like, but didn't it look good? I'm like, yeah, it did look good. Why didn't you give it to me? Sorry,
he let you bite the pizza with the toppings, and then he grabs your face
and
he pulls the toppings out of your mouth.
Like, but didn't it look really good?
I'm glad you got to taste them, but you will not swallow these toppings.
Yeah.
I thought my scenario was more accurate, but yours
I
are
thought
definitely more
all ours
entertaining.
was pretty accurate, yeah.
I don't like how they implemented the video game into this. I don't like, because what they're going for is that this movie sort of takes place in a character's mind. And then so what they're insinuating is that the video game takes place in a character's mind as well. Like it's a psychological thing. Or did I misinterpret this movie? Or you guys are looking at me like I'm crazy. I thought that was what that whole exposition dump was in the psychiatrist office.
Oh, that one. Okay.
Where he's like, this is in your head, you're the one who has to survive, blah 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 blah. Like, and that's why the setting was where it was. That's why it's about her sister. That's why the video game, it's in the cabin, because that's Josh's, where all of his trauma comes from, because that's where his sisters disappear.
So what? So yeah, I must have missed this. I just thought it was So what was it? So are they saying that it all didn't really happen, or are they implying that this actually is a video game? Is this like?
Well, that's where they made it like kind of weird, because she goes, so this isn't happening, and he goes, no, this is happening, but you're causing it, basically.
Right. And this was them giving themselves an out to have him in the next movie.
Right.
Because he, blows up at the end, but he's not going to be dead. He'll be in the next movie. Because they're trying to set up a franchise.
I know we didn't get to the ending yet, but the final twist at the end was that he wasn't dead.
Right.
Right. And then it shows the cabin from the video game.
With the snow in the winter. Yeah.
With the snow. So that's what they're trying to do here. And what I don't like about that, because if that is what's going on, and let me know in the comments if I'm misinterpreting this movie, why do we still have everything with the miners from the video game, and why are the Wendigos still a thing?
Yeah, there were definitely some blanks that they didn't fill in, and I don't know whether they left it open intentionally for sequels down the road, which I'm not a fan of, or just maybe possible avenues, or if it was just sloppy writing, or I don't know. But this was one of my issues too, was like they had I feel like they left too much shit open and didn't close enough of it. Like it felt like they were just starting to tell a story, and I hate that when you're trying to be like a movie franchise, right? When you're trying to set it up and you just tell an incomplete story intentionally. Yeah. It's like that shouldn't be how, unless you're doing like a trilogy movie, right?
No, you're right.
This Lord of the Rings, right? That's fine. But this is like, it feels like you're just being like, here's an incomplete story, and then you have to wait for the next one to come out. Like a movie should be a movie. It should stand alone as a movie, and your sequel should play off of that.
Right. This was one of my negatives from the beginning, is like almost right away, I'm like, they're just setting up another movie. And that, like you just said, like it should still be a great movie, a standalone movie on itself, with not just a bunch of because then it's like, okay, which one of these are setups for the next movie, and which one of these are just Easter eggs, that you're, putting in for your fan base, which I completely understand. Most of the people that want to see this movie are probably fans of the game. And, so how much of this is just you leaving little Easter eggs to show that, to show the appreciation for the gamers, and which one of these are just an obvious setup for the next movie? And it didn't make that clear.
Yeah. And we're not following, to me, you're not following the rules from the game. You're establishing your own rules, which makes it hard for this to be a prequel. So that's where I start to get really what are we doing here? Because you're telling me this is a prequel to this, but these aren't the same rules. They're not dying. There's not a time loop situation until dawn, unless you're insinuating that the video game being played over and over is the time loop. But that's a whole different thing. It's just, I think
they made it pretty clear that, the way to, I don't know if this is what you were saying, but the way to win was to make it until dawn. Right.
Yes.
They made that very clear in the movie.
Yes. Survive until dawn, which I think I think, in my opinion, screwed a lot up going towards the end of this movie. And I'm going to take a good amount of points off for this stuff, because I think it's sloppy. And I think they had a lot of opportunities to do some really cool things with this movie. Number one, I want to jump into the ending real quick because these are most of my issues. Are you cool with that?
Yeah, go for it.
So everyone survives, like everyone made it out, and including the bad guy. And there were so many really good openings for them to throw a real nasty twist at the end, right? For the survivors. So many things. I'm like trying to think like where they're going to go with this. Like what crazy knife twist are they going to hit us with the end of this movie? Are they going to hit us with they make it till dawn, one of them doesn't survive, and they don't realize that the one that dies doesn't survive after dawn when the rest do? That would have been a cool one.
Mhm.
Another cool one where I thought they might go was when the girlfriend hit her own boyfriend with a pickaxe because he was being a dickhead, and they was like, she thought, I was like, are they going to kill someone so that they can finish this? That would have been a cool one, a cool ending. Also, with all this like transformation into like Wendigos, and their faces are turning into monsters and they're growing spines on their backs and stuff. Wouldn't it have been a cool ending if they all got away, and then like the twist is like, oh shit, one of them still has spines growing on their back or something, or some of them is still going through whatever transformation? Nothing. We got all survivors. You have unlikable characters that you could have easily killed off. The bad guy survived, and the twist at the end was just that the bad guy survived, and that's it. It was like, that sucks, dude. That was an absolute flop of an ending, in my opinion.
Yeah, and your Wendigo transformation doesn't even follow the rules from the game, so that's another thing we're changing. Like they're just doing it, like it's just happening.
Mhm.
Whereas we established the lore in the other one was that they had to be bitten. So you're not even following the rules that you're trying to like. So these are the problems I have with the movie. Again, I like the movie overall. There's a lot of stuff in there that I do like, but I'm with you. There's just too many flaws as well.
It's sort of like a TV series. Like what if they, instead of just doing a movie, like if each episode was like a day or two of
a different night,
that'd be sick. I don't know how long you keep that going on for, but you'd have to make it very different. But
you could do 6 to 8 episodes on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, and as the season progressed, you could do more than one night in like the later episodes.
Yeah, because you could have done some more character development. First 3 episodes is just the setup, and then it's like, end of episode 3 or 4 is like, not that they're all dead, but like they wake up and they're like, what the fuck? Cut to black. Next week you find out why the hell they just woke up. Like it would have been, I feel like they would have had more time to let you figure out things on your own. They would have had more time to build some more suspense in this movie, because it did have some suspenseful moments, but it felt rushed. It felt very rushed, and then it's just, like my biggest negative on this movie is Dave's biggest positive with the whole like, footage thing that we just talked about. We don't have to rehash all that, but it just felt like a huge cop out. Like, oh, let's just skip 26 days or whatever they skipped, like it just felt like a 2 years later situation in a movie where you're like, what the fuck? Like the movie Castaway, like you're like, oh my God, is he going to survive another day? Then they hit you with a 10 years later. You're like, what the hell? It's like, that was one of the biggest, like, what the fuck moments in like cinema history for me anyways. Great movie. But like, it's like, dude, like he's fine for 10 years, so anyways.
I think the flaw in that though, Jesse, to expand upon that, is the first few nights we see how much they're remembering from the day before.
Right.
And just out of nowhere, they don't remember
There's
anything.
Just huge random memory.
I know they're trying to show it with like the way they write their names in the book.
I was just going to say that, yeah.
Yeah.
So like that, but again, to Jesse's point, for such an exposition dump of a movie, like there's some shit they still just don't explain.
To just skip a few days is just weird. But I'm glad you brought up the book, because that was actually a really cool detail that I'm looking at. I'm like, oh, that's such a fucking terrifying detail, because you don't know, like are they just getting more and more scared, or are they being starved? Like you have to, everything goes through your mind. Like, obviously the obvious ones, they're losing their mind, but it was just, they're slowly dying basically. So really cool detail in that movie. This movie had me like so back and forth, where I'm like, do I love this movie or do I fucking hate this movie? And it's like, I think, the biggest problem with this movie was a lack of character development. And towards the end of the movie, you still don't give a shit about anyone. And you just kind of, for me anyways, I'm just rooting for a terrible death for all of them. I'm like, I hope this has a really dark ending. And it fucking didn't. It had a huge flop at the end of the movie. It's like, horror movies, I don't want a happy ending. I don't, and it's like, this is just goofy. Yeah. I'll watch a second one. I am interested where they go with it. They obviously really wanted to make a second one. They made that obvious at every step of the way in this movie. Yeah. But wow, what a back and forth emotional roller coaster this movie was for me.
It kind of was for me too. So I started out, I didn't like it at first because the acting is the first thing I noticed. I was like, this is gonna suck. God damn it, another bad horror movie in a row. And then as soon as I realized there was a death loop, and as soon as I realized they weren't just going to be killed, stalked by one killer for the whole movie, they were going to they're going to face different kind of adversity and die in different horrible ways. I was like, I'm in. This is going to be fun.
Yeah.
It was just such a weird thing because it's like I've never been on like an emotional roller coaster like this with a movie that I didn't give a shit about anybody. It's like, so I don't know. It's such a strange back and forth for me with this one.
Do we want to get into some scores and final thoughts on it?
Sure.
Go ahead.
Oh, yeah. I had this at a 3.3. And this really could have been high 4s. It was close. And I think even with the bad acting, it could have been in the 4s. But the end for me was such a big flop and such a big disappointment. It felt like they really played it safe at the end, which means like they kind of could, like all the cool deaths that they put in there kind of felt like a cheat since none of them actually counted. And it just felt like a cop out at the end. And the ending of a horror movie is such a big deal for me that at least a full point off, so could have been a 4.3. It's a 3.3 though.
Sure. I'm at a 3.7 for this. Again, it hits two genres of movies that I really love. The Groundhog Day. The other horror movie we got like this was Happy Death Day. Mm-hmm. Which was more horror comedy. That one was fine. The sequel I didn't care for, if I remember correctly. I do think they did a TV show that's a slasher or something to that effect. I can't remember the name. I'm sure they'll let me know in the comments. That has this element of it as well. But hitting that Groundhog Day, hitting that cabin in the woods element, I enjoyed. I just didn't love the way they implemented the video game stuff. Some bad acting, but some great shots, like some great camera work in this, some great ideas, too much exposition dump. So it's just a mixed bag. Like there's a huge mixed bag with this movie. Overall, I still think it's worth watching. And I think it's a 3.7 for me.
I had this one at a 3.5.
Higher than me.
Which was, weird because I think I was the least excited about this movie while watching it. Again, first half was good. Second half was meh. Some lazy shit in this movie. But it was interesting as fuck. It was very different. I'll give it that. We haven't really said that word yet. It was very different from anything we've watched ever, so it was cool. It was a cool concept. Did they nail it on the head? No, but it had the rated R. So you had some gory, tense moments. It's just, it felt sloppy at times, felt rushed at times, some bad acts, very, very bad acting. But it was cool. It was cool. I would say go watch the movie, especially if you've played the game.
I agree. Go watch the movie. But were you not done? Sorry.
I was pretty much done. But yeah, I had this one at 3.5 because it was a cool movie. It was cool.
I want to justify my low score because I wasn't expecting to be the lowest on the panel here. I thoroughly enjoyed this movie up until the end. And what the end did for me with that cop-out ending was it actually ruined the parts of the movie that I enjoyed the most, which were the kills. And for them to just completely flop and everyone's safe and everybody goes home happy.
Right. There shouldn't be a movie like this.
Yeah. I feel robbed of what I enjoyed for the first part of the movie. So full point off.
I felt robbed of other people dying.
I'm not saying I agree with it, but I think their justification is you got to see all these characters die so many times.
Yeah, but they're safe. Like
I'm not arguing the point. I'm just saying I think that's probably what they went for on it.
It's like that they'll pull like a crazy like main character death scene and then be like they'll wake up. It's like you fucking son of a bitch. I'm so cheap. I feel robbed. I don't like rug pulls. I don't like when the rug is pulled from under me. If you work for your shocks, then I'm happy and I like it. But if you shock me and then say, just kidding, I don't like you.
But is that a rug pull if it's the premise of the movie?
I think it is, right?
Then you should hate the loop portion of this movie because that's
No, I
what this
like the
movie
loop
is.
portion of the movie, but they didn't have to. Everyone didn't have to be safe. They could have done the loop and still had people, and still not have had everybody completely safe with all the plot armor at the end.
Yeah, they shouldn't have gone through that and walked away and be like, "Whoa, that was crazy. We all died a bunch of times." You know, like, there should have been some loss at the end. They should have lost someone. And it's not like okay, plot armor in anything is boring, right? You're like, oh, okay, you're seeing this big battle, but you know the main character is not going to die, so everything's fine. Game of Thrones changed that a little bit, where like you don't really know, but you still kind of know. You know, like Battle, spoiler, Battle for Winterfell. I'm not even going to actually spoil it, but Battle for Winterfell, like who wasn't going to die in that, so it's like
first
with
four
that being
seasons of Game of Thrones, you did not know.
Right. That's why I brought it up. Was like you have no idea. You have no idea who's going to go at any time. A movie like this, there should have been some sort of loss here, and it's like, why? Who are you protecting for the next movie? None of these actors were good enough to be in the next movie. Other
Well, you have to set up a whole new scenario in the next movie,
other than Dr. Hill, right? So you definitely need Dr. Hill in this next movie. You don't need any of these actors in the next movie. So kill some of them off and have it be a horror movie. It's rated R. It's okay. Do it. Kill them.
And think about how not believable it is too at the end of this movie, where you have this whole book of names. None of them survived. 0% of the people.
Yeah,
in this,
and then
this
all
book
of them
survived.
survive in this one. You're right. Yeah, absolutely. Good point.
I think, what would have been an interesting premise for this is if during one of the nights, one of them did survive, but because all the other ones didn't, they all had to No, I think I think that even though they survived, they should have to get pulled back too.
Maybe.
Like
I think it would have been also
wake back up in it or something.
An interesting twist where they could have done, if they really wanted everyone to survive, somebody at some point should have disappeared, and they should have all just thought, "Oh shit, one of us can die." And then at the end of the movie, he's down the street waiting for. Oh, did that happen? Yeah.
Well, no, they did that. They did that, except they didn't. Right. They made you think they did that. Right. When they thought they lost Megan to the night. Right. They're like, oh, they put that together. Like, oh, it doesn't say that we all survived the 15 days. It says that, we will get lost into the night at some point. So they're like, oh, we lost Megan. Holy shit. But then again, they're just like, oh, actually, she's okay. It's like,
yeah. I don't know. I guess those are the rules that they loosely established. I don't know. Whatever. Anyways, let us know what you think. What do you think about this movie? Did it make sense? Did you have fun? Were you scared? Did you like anybody?
Do you like anybody in your personal life?
Do you just like anybody in general? We just want to know who you like.
Just like anybody you work with.
Let us know everyone that you hate in the comments in your real life. That's gonna do it.
Name everyone you've ever met.
Please do anything in the comments. This channel's dead. Help us out.
That's gonna do it for us here at HGS Reviews. Make sure you leave the comment. Make sure you go watch the game playthrough of Until Dawn that I did on this channel, and we will catch you next time. Peace.